We've just came out on the very tip of this thing, the deepest part of it, and I just rolled up on it. As you can see, I can go back, and I marked a little wad of fish right there. Now that's, as you can see, that's 15 or 20 bass right out here, right on the drop. And I can go out here, I can push right on them, I can hit an icon, and you can see right there. Well, that's a tree. That I'll go back, and right here on my symbol, I'll go back, and on my symbol I'll move it from that tree, because the last thing that I marked somewhere else on the Red River where I was at, I marked a tree, but I want to move that to a fish. So I hit my fish emblem right there. Now I know that that's where the fish are that we just marked. I'm gonna spin my boat back around, and I'm gonna make a few casts right there on that red deal. As you can see, I got a scale right here coming off, and that's in 10-foot increments. So I know that I've got a scale, I've got my mark. All I have to do is spin my boat back around, make a few casts, and that's what ledge fishing is. I'll make 4 or 5 casts. If I don't get bit, I move right on. Those fish are down there, and if they're feeding, we'll catch them pretty quick. If not, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time with them, because they've got a whole river system full of fish. All right, we just marked those fish, and first cast I make usually is going to be with a swim bait, and that's just because, I mean, it's a 1 ounce squadron head. I can stay back off of them a long way. I can cover different water columns. I can kind of suspend, if they're suspended, I can reel it over the top of them. I can slow roll it down on the bottom of them. So usually the first cast is going to be with a swim bait, and then I kind of go from there. Get lined up on them. Again, you have a scale right there. You have your little line in front of your boat icon. That may not be just dead on it, but fairly close. Let it go all the way to the bottom, first cast, and just slow wind it in. And if there's a really aggressive fish or school, they'll let you know pretty quick. Boat's in 35 feet of water. Those fish were in about 25 to 26. There's a little current going, because I can tell it's pushing me towards them. See, that's real important. I just looked up there and I saw a minnow bust on top, or shad. Usually when you're in a place that's got several fish, you'll start to see some type of life. You start to see them busting, you start to see shad. All right, my next cast is gonna be straight on the bottom, dragging through them with a jig or 8-inch bullworm, some type of straight tail worm. The current's really pushing me. It's hard to use your spot lock whenever there's current pushing you that way. If the current was coming in downstream, it would be real easy. I got a really good lineup with my scale here on that spot, and I really like a 1 ounce football jig when I'm fishing out deep like this. I started out 3/4, and that's what a lot of people throw is a 3/4, but the 1 ounce Strike King football jig is my favorite, and it's just simply because it gets down there. I mean, I can just be more efficient offshore fishing with that 1 ounce jig. It gets there quick. Just do what you need to do, covering water with it a little better. A lot of time, there's aggressive fish feeding somewhere. Don't waste a lot of time. I could pull out a drop shot, maybe catch some small ones there, or maybe a big one, but we're looking for a school of fish where we can make some hay pretty quick. And that's the way I've been successful, you know, trying not to spend a whole lot of time with just a few numbers. Go and get on some aggressive fish somewhere and try to catch some big ones. See, there's some bait, just bait balls. One individual fish right there, nothing that we want to stop and spend any time on. All right, again, we just marked a few fish. We're first cast swim bait. There wasn't a lot there right then. This still isn't a size school that I want to concentrate on, but I have caught some big ones right here, so I wanted to make a few casts on it to see if we can't catch a big fish. More of what we're trying to do today is illustration and kind of teaching, not so much spending all day trying to catch a great big one, but it would be nice to do with both. A lot of times it's just 1 or 2 casts with the swim bait, and I can tell because I know I came right through them. I can tell if they're aggressive. They don't eat that. They're not in the kind of mood that I really want them in. But then again, I've seen a lot of times where I can throw a football jig in there, or a hair jig, or 8-inch bullworm, or something like that, and they just want something on the bottom. They're not keyed in on shad, or they're more on bluegill or crawfish. And wear a bait like this, just catch them. As you can see, I'm throwing a 10XD here. Throwing the Magnum Ledge Series crankbait rod, BB1, oversized handle, which I really like on the throwing a 10XD. Just gives you a little more torque. But I like the BB1, no anti-reverse, gives me more sensitivity, and David Fritz uses it. Enough for me. Best crankbait fisherman in the world uses it. I use it. All right, a lot of times people might want to know, well, how do I graph? You know, I don't know where to graph on an area. Do I fish it up shallow? Do I go out deep, or what? Well, my answer would be all of the above. And like, this is a rounding hump right here. I want to cover the crown of that thing, and then I want to cover all the rounding edges. I just idled over this little corner right here, and you know, it's just a little nook, and I marked a few fish. I put a waypoint, but I idled the edge, and I came off right at the tip. And I always want to cover the hard, like, you can see it right there, the contour lines kind of blend in with my depth shading, but it comes to a point like that, and these fish are just right on the inside part of that point. But I want to cover the inside draw, I want to cover the rounding edges, and any kind of tip. I can't stress that enough. The tips of these things, where they drop off into the deepest water, that is a big key. Now these fish, there's so many fish here. If you look, I can back up, that could be carp. The Tennessee River is just bombarded with carp right now, and that could be carp. If that's not carp, we're fixing to have a good time. What I just switched to is a little bit more of a finessey swim bait. If they're in a pressured mood, this little swim bait sometimes catches them. But that's the thought process on a ledge. You just kind of think like, okay, what is it? The weekend pressure? Is it no current? Is there just not enough of them? What's the deal? And that helps you to. I just had one push it, so this could be white bass. If they were carp, they wouldn't be biting at all. But what I'm getting at is the attitude of the fish. You got to read them on your graph, and that helps you to determine how you want to fish for them. There's a lot of suspended ones right here. They're coming up. It looks like spaghetti noodles all. Like, can y'all see them? Can you see them back there? There's just a lot of fish on the graph. And when you're not catching them, that tells you that usually that's not bass. When there's a lot of fish like that, that first cast with the swim bait, y'all would have got to see my Team Lou's Custom Pro Ledge Series swim bait rod get bowed over. Make a couple more casts with this worm. I would like to catch one, kind of show y'all. But really, our main purpose for doing this is just to educate people on ledge fishing and why I designed this lineup of rods. And that's why I want that stiff backbone on the ledge jig worm rod, because I can get that hook set. Because I got a giant on here, folks. I'm telling you, this is a daggone good. You know, it takes some beefy equipment to be able to land these hogs like this. But that fish was swimming towards me, and I had to double hook set, you know. If it would have been a good one, I could have done it, because I designed this. We'll talk about the rods more later, but this rod has got a nice backbone just for that, making a long cast and be able to. It's not necessarily for I want a stiff rod. It's for being able to set the hook way out there, because it's got a nice tip on it. You can do a lot of things. It's a very versatile rod. But it helps you to get that hook set way out there on those long casts, which is, I mean, when I'm throwing a 1 ounce jig, I may be setting a hook a country mile away. just came right through one of those stumps. That little bitty fish hit it, but you know, some good ones that live out there. Just because you're catching little ones on the Tennessee River doesn't mean you're necessarily in the wrong spot. I think a lot of these big fish, there's another one. A lot of big fish are living right in with those small ones. This is another small one. But you can, it wouldn't surprise me one bit to throw back out there and catch a 4 or a 5. But that's it, man. We just idling, looking for these little wads of fish, turning around. And people say, well, you may be saying, well, why didn't you just told me to throw, you like to throw a swim, you know, each place is a little bit different. There's some places that I won't even pick up a swim bait. I may pick up a hair jig. It's because I've caught them on a hair jig there in the past. And as you do more ledge fishing, you'll get to have more confidence in different. When you see a fish, a school of fish, there's another one. There's a pile of little ones there. But this is why I like the ledge. See that stiff backbone right there in the middle allows me to get a hook set way out there. Now we've caught fish, small fish. Let's just run the gamut. You know, let's try this football jig out there. Same rod. Again, ledge, jig worm. That 1 ounce jig, I want that same backbone right through here on a long hook set. And this is a big profile. I mean, it looks like a bluegill, crawfish. So a lot of times this might trigger a big one. Make a couple casts with this. If it doesn't, change it up. I do believe there's a big fish sitting down there in that little water fish. I think I'm just a little bit to the left of where I need to be. Yeah, see, I should have already been to the bottom by now. Still going, still going. All right, I could fish that cast, and a lot of people would, and that bait's probably out in 40 feet. I don't want to do that. I might have missed my mark just 2 or 3 feet to the left, and I need to be up on that lip more, but I'm trying to skirt the edge. Bad cast, reel it in, scoot it over about 2 or 3 more feet, and try to get where you need to be. Don't waste time. Be more efficient on the water, and make a try to make that perfect cast. I think that's it right there.